Well, I guess we can, we'll get started. It's like 5 minutes after the scheduled time, so some other people will join in. I'll accept them, when they decide to pop in. Some people are going to bail because I think they thought it was going to be a couple hours earlier than it was with time zone differences and whatnot. Um, so yeah, basically one of the things I always like to talk about is, risk management on these things. We've been running these bots coming up on, a year in the summertime. They'll be running, and the algorithms have kind of changed here and there as the market changed. And, that's one of the things I say when bots are never really set it and forget it. As the markets move, we have to make adjustments to things based on what the markets are doing. Otherwise, things blow up. And that's, one of the risks that there just simply are to it. The 8G bot right now that most people are on, it's proving to be, very stable, especially with Russia, going into Ukraine, and I had other bots that blew up. I know a lot of other bot companies that had things that blew up as well. Um, you know, Manual traders, everything, like the things were volatile. And I let the 8G algorithm, I just kind of said, fuck it. I said, let's just see what it does. I'm not going to intervene. I'm not going to, try and help it in any way. Let's just see how it reacts to what the markets are giving us. And it survived. Did it draw down? Yeah, absolutely. Bots in general are going to draw down. That's just par for the course, essentially. It survived and it's done fairly well since then. What happens in the future is, anybody's guess, but the risk, it's always going to be there. And for a lot of people that are jumping in now, what we did talk about before on one of the last Zooms that we did was switching from risk by balance to a lot multiplier. So the risk by balance basically took calculations on the bot's balance and the bot's starting lot size, and then, a follower's, your bot balance, and had those calculations. So if I topped up my bot in a drawdown, that would affect your calculations if you weren't topping up. And that could have a negative or a positive impact. So being that there's people involved, in order to keep some sort of more consistency, we did decide, community wise, which is why we do these Zooms and have the Discord, to basically say, let's go with lot multiplier. So while that doesn't get the benefits of, a risk by balance where you compound these gains, right? If you're making 10% at 5K versus 10% at, 10K, 10% at 5K is, 5% at 10K. So your balances are different, but, the benefit to the lot multiplier is lower risk. So as somebody following the signal, because you need to have control of your bot, so you have access to your lot multiplier, your stop losses, your turning your bot on and off, things like this. So you can better prepare. You can say, and I think you asked earlier, Frank, I think it was you that asked, if the bot gets to a 10K balance, will I change the lot multiplier? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to leave the gains primarily in there, which just lower the risk and let the bot draw down further at less risk. That way people following can better plan and say, okay, I know that the bot is always going to start with, I think 8G starts with a 0.03 lot. Don't quote me on that because I've got a bunch of bots, but if it's starting at 0.03, it's always going to start at 0.03. So then you can look at it and go, it doesn't matter what the bot's balance is or what your balance is, you can adjust your multiplier as you want. So if you double from 5K to 10K and say, okay, well, now I'm at 10K, I want to take the same risk I had at 5K. Well, you can double your lot multiplier. Now you're making twice as much cash gains per day as you were at 5K, but you're taking the same risk. Or you can say, I want to take lower risk. I want to make the same cash value at 10K bot balance versus 5K. So me leaving that bot is better for everybody following it, simply because I don't want to affect people down the line because everybody has a different risk tolerance. Everybody has, some people are running, 0.5 or zero point 0.7 lot multipliers, and some people are running 2, 3, 4 times the bot balance and running 2, 3, 4 times the lot multiplier. So me leaving the bot as is and not changing it, that is going to allow people to better prepare their risk managements without me changing something and then that affecting your risk down the line. So that's why a couple months back, we moved away from following some of my personal live bots and creating other bots dedicated to people that are following. So while I run the same algorithms personally, I have this control, which I can do personally and change things as I see fit for myself and not affect all these other people that are going down the line. So I'm hoping that that kind of makes sense for people at that point, because risk management is really the most important factor that I think I've learned in my time with Forex. Is that, it's great. You can make great gains for 30 days, 60 days, and then shit the bed and lose it all in one day. And that's no good. So early on, if you watch some of my TikToks or some of the other videos, I always said scalp the profits, because at that time things were risk by balance. So that meant if you put 5 grand into a bot and you made $1,000, well, don't leave 6 grand in your bot and have your lot sizes increase. Take the $1,000 out and always run at a $5,000 balance. Scalp your money out. So then when you've scalped out 5,000, you got your initial capital back, and now you're running a $5,000 bot essentially on house money. So yeah, if you lose it, that's still going to suck, but you're not going to be losing your shirt or out of pocket at that point. Where things have changed now circles back to the lot multiplier, where now if you leave your gains in, you essentially lower your risk, because the lot multipliers, or the starting lot size, I should say, is always going to be the same lot size, regardless, irrespective of the bot balance or your balance. So there's not all these confusing calculations that happen, at that stage of the game. So that's like a very, very important fundamental thing, I think, for people to understand. And I know that recently there's been some people that have come over from, Rick Raheem's bots and things, and you pay for the supercharger. If you're familiar with that, my understanding of that is it's basically a lot multiplier. If you're getting if the bot is taking a 0.02 lot at 1 times lot multiplier and you double that, it's taking a 0.4, you're doubling your profit at that point. You're supercharging it. But with my bots, like, you can change your lot multiplier to whatever you want. The risk is that you just draw down faster and you can margin call quicker. So it's better to have less risk and kind of lower that to just stay in the game a lot longer. But being able to absorb, and I've had margin calls. Like, I took a huge margin call actually on my birthday, January 26th of this year. I got hit for like 30 grand, which totally sucked. And that wiped out like a couple months of my gains previously, or almost. But that's the nature of the beast. Like, I personally plan to take these bigger losses, and I do take out money, and I do keep it on the side, and I do top up bots if they do tend to draw down a little faster or more than usual. But with the lot multiplier, things are a little bit more consistent in terms of knowing what those risks are. And as I win $100 today, or $50 or $300 or $1,000 or whatever my gains are each day, that just lowers my risk. So if I make $1,000 in a week or $500 in a week, then the next week that comes in, that's like drawing down and throwing in $500 or $1,000 to top up, where risk by balance would increase your lot sizes as things go on. And one thing that I've tried to get across to people was, the more money you have in a bot, the less risk you essentially have, because the lot sizes that CoinEx that I use, and most brokers do the mini lots. It's like the 0.01 lot size. You can't do a 0.005 lot size. That would get rounded to 0.1. And then if your calculations on a lot size were 0.014, I think that would round to 0.01, and a 0.015 would round to 0.02 lot sizes. You know, so that's where things kind of get a little bit confusing. If you have enough balance that your lot sizes are starting at 0.1, then you don't have that, because you can get a 0.11 lot, a 0.12, a 0.13. You know, when you get a 0.013, it's just going to give you a 0.1. You know, so there are those calculations that it's good to understand that could affect. So for instance, let's say the 8G, as I mentioned earlier, I think it starts with a 0.03 lot size, or maybe a 0.02. So say 0.03. Now, if you're at a 1 times lot multiplier, regardless of the bot's balance or your balance, you're going to get a 0.03 lot. And then the lot sizes on the bots, they increment by the lot size. So 0.03, 0.06, 0.09, and then every lot size is plus 0.03. That's basically how that math works on a simple level. Now, if you cut that, say you have a $5,000 bot and you say, well, I want to lower my risk by half. Okay, well, you do your lot multiplier at 0.5. Okay, that is going to give you a 0.015 lot size. We're not going to get that lot size at the broker. You're going to get 0.02. And then when you get a 0.06 lot size, now I'm just going to pull up a calculator, and obviously I don't really have a screen share going on here, but okay, 0.06 times 0.5, that's going to give 0.03. Okay, so your first lot is going to be 0.02 when the bot takes a 0.03. Then your second lot on the bot is going to be 0.06, and your lot on the bot on your bot with 0.5. Okay, now I hope this is let me share my screen here. Let me figure this out. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to just pull up a notepad here, and I'm gonna, let's, 1 sec. Just gonna pull things on this side. Okay, do you guys see my screen right now? Do you see like a calculator on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let me just, and now do you see like a little notepad document here?
Yep. Got it.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's say, okay, this is going to be like the master bot. Let me just write this: master bot, and then your bot. Okay, so the master bot is going to do 0.03. Okay, so 0.03 times 1 lot multiplier, that's going to give you 0.03. So you're going to take the exact same lot sizes as the bot. So I'm just going to go 3 trades deep here. So let's say you do a 0.5 lot multiplier. Okay, so I'll just write this down: lot multiplier 0.5 or whatever, 0.5 instead of 1. Okay, so you get, how you figure this out is you go 0.03 times 0.5, because that's what you went with. So now you're going to get 0.015. Well, that's going to round to 0.02. Okay, so your lot is going to go 0.02 when the bot goes 0.03. So now the bot's next lot size is 0.06. Whoops, 0.0, oh my God, 0.06 times your 0.5 lot multiplier. That's going to give you 0.03. Okay, so my concern, and this is why if you've seen me say 0.7%, okay, the reason for this is, let's just get rid of that. So we'll say two trades, 0.03, 0.06. So if the bot opens 0.03 and goes down and takes a 0.06, to break even, it's going to basically have to go back 50% of the way, right? And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I go back 50% of the way to break even when I doubled my lot size, at 50%, I actually am thinking you might take a loss here because you don't have a 0.404 lot, you have a 0.03 lot. So that's my concern on that. When I said 0.7, I did some math on this and said 0.06 times, okay, so we'll go 0.03 times 0.7, right? It's 0.21. That's going to round to 0.02. You're going to get the same starting lot. So if we say lot multi equals point or 0.7, here you're going to get, you're still going to start with the same lot size as 0.5 lot multiplier. But what's going to happen on your second lot, it's going to take the bot's 0.06 and times it by your lot multiplier. You're going to get 0.42, which is going to round to 0.4. Okay, so now you can see here that you have the same doubled lot size. So when this pulls back and breaks you even, you're going to break even here. If you pull back halfway here, you're probably going to take a small loss because this 0.3 lot is not going to build you enough money to cover the exact losses of here. You would have to pull back more than 50% to do that. And I hope that that makes sense. So now if we look here and say 0.09, which we know would be the next MasterBot one. And this again is why I'm not going to touch the MasterBot lot sizes so that you can prepare for this stuff. So if we go 0.09 times 0.5%, 0.45. So this is going to put us at 0.05. And then if we go 0.09 times 0.7, which is the lot multiplier here, 0.06. So now you can see here that the premise of the bot is to just increase by the starting lot size by 0.03 every time, right? And now here, if you're in an increase by your starting lot, 0.02, 0.04, 0.06, here it's not increasing by the starting lot because your lot multiplier is a little bit lower. So 0.02, 0.03, 0.05. Now, the benefit to this one is that you're going to draw down less with smaller lot sizes, and then you could win a bit more in a larger basket, but in a two basket, you might take a loss. You know, that's where things get a little bit confusing. And that's something that I haven't fully tested. I'm just looking mathematically at this. And this is, you know, if I can get people to understand this as well, then we all can learn from this. And people could say, hey, I've done the math, and James, you're fucking totally wrong on this. And I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. But mathematically speaking, if I'm going 3, 6, 9, these are all increased, you know, at the same level as these ones versus what these are. Now, somebody can get me if I'm wrong, and I haven't worked out the exact, you know, pip counts and things on that. But to me, this would make sense. Like if you're going to lower your lot multiplier, then you want to lower it in a way that mathematically you get increments that are the same as your starting lot, because that's what the bot does. The bot does 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on, right? It'll increment by 0.03. So if you're incrementing 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, like that is probably going to work at the same level as this. If you're doing like 2, 3, 5, and then 8, and then 7, you know, then the math gets a little weird. And I've seen people in the past where they're like, you know, you get 100 people using a bot, and, you know, 20 people took a loss, and 80 people didn't. Well, what's the lot multipliers at? That's kind of where that comes in. Now, does anybody have a question in regards to that? Does any of this make sense, or am I just speaking like right out of left field?
Well, the key, what I'm getting out of this, the key is the ratio. You got to keep the ratio the same as the original.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That's kind of, basically what I'm saying. That's probably the safest way I would think to do that. And again, it's like, I can make these bots and run these bots, but it's a whole different ball game when it comes to how people, you know, follow bots, right? And that's, because I've seen things where, I've had customers take margin calls where I've won and other people have won, and some take margin calls. So, it's kind of had me circle back to go, well, how do we work it so that nobody takes margin calls, or that everybody involved kind of understands, what needs to be done? Because, people come in and say, from a 30,000 foot view, you would think, well, if the bot wins, why isn't everybody winning? Well, there's all these variables that are kind of in there that, can affect this. Essentially, if you leave your lot multiplier at 1, then you're going to do exactly the same as the bot. Granted, you're running the same balance as the bot. And I know that, I recommend 5,000 as a minimum balance, simply because that's where I started the bot, and the bot has grown to, I think, $8 or close to $9,000 or something it's at right now. I'd have to look to be specific. Now, obviously, if you start with 5 and the bot's at 8, the bot is going to be able to draw down further than you would at your $5,000 balance, and that's where things start to get a little bit confusing. Now, I guess I could pull money out and always keep the bot at a $5,000 balance, but in order to prevent the bot from, say, taking a margin call or a loss when other people have the money to do it, it's ideal to just keep the bot functioning and working and not risk individual people. Because if the bot takes a loss, then yes, everybody downstream is going to take that loss too. And that's something that I really want to try and avoid, which goes back to the lot multiplier. Because in the past, where I've had bots take margin calls, it's because, I've had people that want low risk and people that want high risk. They want bigger gains. So trying to keep everyone happy has been very challenging on my end. So with the lot multiplier and people having that freedom, it's like, sure, if that bot only makes $50 a day and you want to make $200 a day, 4 times your lot multiplier, and you'll quadruple what the bot's doing. But you have to understand, you can't do that with the same balance and expect to have the same risk. Because if the bot can, at $5,000, can draw down, say 10 orders, if you're running a 2 multiplier at $5,000, you're only going to draw down 5 orders, and be at that equity. So I hope that, like, that kind of makes sense to people. I know for me it does, and I challenge myself sometimes to try and break it down a little bit more so that people can actually, like, really understand that math that's there. Like, I know sometimes it seems simple for me and it does for other people, but for others it might seem a little bit more complicated. So does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, on that lines, James, I got a question. At the $5,000 level, if you will, and the lot multiplier at 1, how many levels of basket will it go before it, it has a margin call? Like, I know you just said 9 or 10 deep, but I was also reading, I think after the 9th consecutive one that it goes against you, the next one, the 10th one, goes into a hedge, or maybe the 10th, 11th, and then it starts going into a hedge position. So, like, how do you assume, or how do you know your risk, or how do you know? Because if you don't know how big the basket can get, is what I'm trying to get at on the worst case scenario.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'd have to do the math, or somebody would have to do the math in terms of, let's say, 0.03, 0.06, 0.09. and let's just say it went 400 pips, 4,000 points deep. How deep does it go before a $5,000 balance gets to a margin call level, which would be, so $5,000 balance at 2,500 deep, you're at 50%. So maybe it's 4,000 plus deep to get there. I don't know the exact number. I have seen bots which used different multipliers in the past go 11 trades deep. My educated guess at this point would be that we could go deeper than that, simply because they're smaller increments, a lot sizes. The difference is that it takes a bigger pullback, when we're doing it this way. But my experience has been that ends up happening and doesn't draw you down as fast. But in terms of like how many deep could you go at $5,000 or how many deep could you go at $6,000? I guess, that's kind of something I think we should probably ask the community in the Discord. Maybe we could all try and do some math on what would be those threshold levels, because that would almost be that's a very valid point and a very good, I think, graph that would be, I would even like to see, to say, hey, based on these lot sizes, in this rough distance between orders, how deep could you go? It wouldn't be 100% even if you figured that math out, because the way the bots work is it's not exact on where those distance spreads are. Now there's indicators and conditions that need to be met on them, and they look at specific charts and anchor charts to do it. And the reason for that is, let's say the market moves, 1,000 points, right? And you might say, I'm going to take 3 orders or 4 orders in that 1,000 points. Okay, that's like an order every 250 points, roughly speaking. Okay, well, that could be the case if that happens over a period of time. Let's say that 1,000 points happens within 10 minutes. You might find that you only take 2 orders at that point, which is going to draw you down less, but require a bigger pullback, if that makes sense, because the bots are some of the conditions are, to protect us from that volatility, because sometimes when you see those swings where you're like, holy shit, the market just went, in one direction completely against us. I don't want to see the bot just open up a shit ton of orders in on a 3-minute chart, because that 3-minute chart moved 800 points, right? That's an indication of high volatility. And the bots will also step out when spreads get above certain levels. And that's why we've seen the LR bot not really do anything for 2 weeks. Now, it just got back in over the last day or two because the spreads came down, and bigger spreads mean bigger losses. And if you're not familiar with spreads, like a spread could be, let's say when the markets close at like around 2 p.m. on gold Pacific time every day that it's trading, the spreads can go like 10, 20, 30 pips. I've seen sometimes, which is nuts, because that's stopped people out. Now, when you're running a margin call or you're having a stop loss, and then all of a sudden, the market closes and the price just drops 10 pips, it hits your stop loss and you're out. It's crazy. Now, I don't know why that kind of thing happens, but it happens. So there are a lot of conditions that are to be met that kind of throw off how deep, can you go. I did see on February 24th, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the 8G bot, I think it went 9 trades deep, and it got to between 50 and 60% equity, according to what I've been told and what I saw at the time, because that did happen. I was sleeping at some of the parts and other people were up, and, people are all talking about what level that got to. And then it got back out, and it made some gains, knowing that at that time with around a $6,000 balance or so, I think it had, it probably could have gone 12 trades, deep, 13 trades deep before there was, this really serious risk of a margin call. Even though for me personally, like when I see bots get to 70% equity, I start paying really close attention to that, because as lot sizes increase, things can swing a lot faster at that point. But I think people can, somebody maybe ask that question and tag everyone in the Discord, and maybe somebody can try and figure that out. Right now I'm working on this EA, so I don't really want to figure it out myself. But hopefully in the next week here I can release this EA, and then maybe I could spend some time on that. Any other questions?
I have a ton of questions, but if anybody wants to jump in, James, I don't want to monopolize this.
No, it's all right. There's only a couple other people in here, 3 other people besides me and yourself. And I think it's giving me an 8-minute warning on this thing, but what I will do, and what I have done in the past, is I would just create a new link and I'll post that in the Discord there under the announcements, and then everybody can kind of log back in. But what other questions do you have?
So when I read the bot archives, like RG and LVG and Slice and those that have basically died and that are no longer active bots, was that primarily due to the risk by balance back then, or the lot, or was it due to the algorithm, or what was the analysis of why those didn't work out?
In terms of RG, that was risk gold. That's what RG stood for. That was high risk. Essentially you needed a big balance to run deep. Now that bot just wouldn't run as deep. That would get like 8 or 9 trades deep before you would end up with a margin call, but it made serious gains, and it never really saw it go more than 6 or 7 trades deep. A couple times it went 9 and it risked a margin call and people were shitting their pants, but then all of a sudden it came back and you'd seen that thing make $1,500, on a $4,000 balance in a day. It was nuts. That thing in December made like 400%. It was crazy, and people love that, but those type of gains come with serious risk. And people to this day have said, I want RG to come back. I like that risk. And I had just kind of said, no, I don't want to see people get liquidated like that. I got liquidated with it, and other people did. LVG, I just shut down. Like, that one survived, but it was low value. So my attempt there was to allow people to get in with $300, $500, or $1,000 and not need 5 or 10 grand to get into a bot. But the reality here is that Forex is so volatile that if you have $300 with 0.01 being a minimum lot size, it's just a risk. Like, you're going to go deep with the way my bots are, it just doesn't make sense. And most people, like, you see 95% of people using Forex, they get liquidated because they run an account on $300 or $500 or $1,000, and it works for a month or two, and then boom, you blow your account. Well, that happens because shit runs deep and you blow up. So I've been really spending a lot of time over the last year to really figure out, like, what's the minimum that would be sort of safe. What are the indicators in the algorithm? What are the spreads? All these other calculations that come in there to go, okay, sure, we don't need 400% gains. Like, I had a bot where I put, $3 grand into that bot, and, it was a $20,000 bot within 6 weeks. Like, and that was nuts. It was like, oh, great. And then the next day I lost it all because it just blew up, and it was risk by balance. So one of the things we did was switch to the lot multiplier so that it didn't constantly compound itself into larger lot sizes, which just kept the risk at the same level. The idea, I switched from going, I want to make 10% on my money a day or 1% on my money every day, to I just, like, what do I want to make? Do I want to make $50 a day or $100 a day? Like, does it take me having a $40,000 bot to make $100 a day safely, or does it take a $20,000 bot or a $5,000 bot? How much cash do I want to make a day, and what level of bot balance do I need, to get to there? So the older bots, yes, some of them were on other algorithms, which I have updated based on what we've gone through. And strategy testing past data, which most bot providers will show you, is horseshit at the end of the day. Like, I could tell you that I won the lottery last week because I know what the fucking numbers were, right? So when I write code and I run a strategy, I see the last 6 months of data. I know exactly the chart's the same every time. So I run a strategy tester and I go, oh, well, that didn't work out. Oh, well, why not? I look at the chart and go, oh, I missed by 10 pips this gain and I stop lost here. Well, let me change all these inputs on a bot and run it again. Oh, now look how great it did. Well, it did great because I already knew what the historical data did. So I just changed the bot, right? So that's why I always say strategy testing data means nothing, right? It's real world data. And what I've been doing, and yes, I've taken losses and customers have taken losses, and it's an evolving process to go as markets change, you need to change. And that's where things aren't set it and forget it. Maybe they are for followers, but as markets change, bots need to be continuously optimized, right? And sometimes when spreads get crazy, maybe the bot needs to change its spread, whether it needs to be lowered or maybe increased a bit to stay in the game but not get blown up. So the pass bots, yeah, it's a combination of risk multiplier being changed to lot multiplier. It's a combination of some of the bot strategies being changed. It's a combination of of a variety of things, risk levels that are brought down. So that's kind of where those are. Like early on, I had other bots that would only take so many orders, right? So and I switched to this basket trading, going, yeah, no matter what you do, you're going to take a risk, and I am okay personally with the risk of margin call. That's my risk, but I want to be able to look back historically and say, well, it's very unlikely, over the last 2 years of chart data, the market's never gone more than 10 or 12 trades deep. So I'm going to program the bot to go 15 or 16 trades deep, hypothetically speaking, so that, we don't have to worry about that. And as the balance grows, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's kind of, where I do that. If you set stop losses to things, then what ends up happening is you get stopped out. You set a stop loss, and my early bots took losses because my bots showed my take profits and my stop losses to the market. And anytime I set a stop loss, and this could be conspiracy talk, but it seems like anytime I set a stop loss or a take profit and the broker sees it, some weird fucking spike happens and I get stopped out. And then it just dips down just enough to stop me out. And then it zooms up to where I could have made a shit ton of money. So my bots now just don't show that information to the broker. They store that in variables and they deal with it in other ways that the markets just will not see it. So if you ever look at stop losses and take profits, you'll never see what they are, because I just don't want the brokers to see that, because I want to eliminate that even being a possibility, because I don't know if it's true or not. It just seems highly coincidental for me. But I've got 1 minute left on this thing, and I will post another Zoom. So if we all get nuked here, just jump into the Discord. Hopefully you guys are all in the Discord, and I'll post a new link. What's another question you guys have?
James, this is Francisco from Honduras.
Hey, yep.
How you doing? Listen, for the custom bot, what's the minimum balance?
Just give it a second here until a couple other guys come in.
I'm back.
Okay, that's okay. Well, I'll let them in when they jump in there. So, Francesco, you were asking about the custom bot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you just want to repeat what your question was there, because I think you kind of got cut off midstream on me.
Yeah. What's the minimum that is going to be required for us to use the custom bot? The minimum balance.
Yeah, the minimum balance, I guess, is going to be, it's going to be dependent on your strategy, because when you're dealing with a custom bot, like, that's up to you, right? What starting lot do you want? Now I can give you those recommendations and kind of say, like, we would talk and say, what are your goals? What are your objectives? If you had
Okay.
500 bucks, that's going to, kind of change my perspective of what strategy you're gonna you're gonna use, right? Maybe you're obviously
Okay.
gonna start with 0.01 lots, but essentially at that point, you have full control over the maximum amount of orders. Like you could say, I only want to take buy orders. I don't want to take sell orders. As well, I don't want to go 10 trades deep. I'm willing to go 4 trades deep. Maybe, if the average spread appears to be around 2 or 300 points, I want, of distance of the orders. Maybe I want, my orders to, be shorter. I want to multiply my distances. I want my first couple orders to be, 200 points different. And then I want that to start multiplying further so that I can go deeper. It kind of just would come down to saying, and I'm willing to have that conversation with anybody to say, hey,
Okay.
I want to get a custom bot, but, I only want to put so much in it. And here's kind of the strategy, I'm willing to do. I've been testing bots where I don't even go many trades deep, and I actually set some fixed stop losses, which I don't show necessarily to the markets, and say I'm really trying to scalp out, profits and willing to take, losses. So, the way the bots are now is they kind of win everything unless they lose it, and that's, very similar to a martingale type strategy, where where you double down until you run out of money and you lose everything. And people will say with martingale, it's like, well, it works until it doesn't. Well, anything in Forex works until it doesn't. You could say, I've had, and I did a test bot and I posted it on TikTok and it worked good. I made my money back. I did a $250 bot and I simply did really massive starting lot sizes for a $250 account. And I just was willing to take a stop loss early and a take profit early based on some indicators, and thought, okay, I'm just going to try and make my 250 back. And if I could run a $250 bot and make 400 bucks and then blow up and scalp every time I won, I scalped my money out. Right. So I had a $250 bot. I scalped out $250 and then my bot blew up and I kind of broke even at the end of the day. And my goal was to say, well, if I could have a $250 bot and figure out a strategy to make 500, but blow up the 250, I'm up 250. Now I'm playing on house money. So if I could just continually do that every couple of weeks, I could make money. So why wouldn't I want to do that? Right. So with a custom bot, you could essentially do anything you want. And with the existing strategies people are familiar with, you can bottom scalp, which you can't do as a follower. So if you're 5 trades deep and you see that 5th trade kind of going into a $20 loss and a $20 profit and a $20 loss and a $20 profit. Well, with a custom bot, if that goes into a $20 profit, you can manually close out your order in your MT5 and take the 20 bucks. Now your bot will look and see it's in a 4 basket. Well, if it goes back down, it'll take that 5th order again. If it goes into profit, take your money on the 5th order. And then you're into a 4 basket again. You need a bigger pullback to close out all 4 orders, but you can scalp. And I do that on my personal bots all the time. And because sometimes I'll look at the markets and go, oh, this market's just sidestepping. It's just going like this. Well, let me take 20 bucks or 50 bucks or 100 bucks or whatever the lot size is and the value is. I just keep closing those orders at gains, the bottom. So if you got 5 orders, you close the 5th order. You wouldn't close the 3rd order because it's not going to replace that unless the 4th and 5th orders were closed too. But what ends up happening is sometimes I see it go even 8 trades deep. And I go, well, now I feel like I say, oh, that's going to pull back really good. Well, right before I feel like the bot's going to close out all 8 orders, I close the 8th order. Now the bot recalculates a 7 order basket and it's going to go further up. Then I close the 7th order. Now it's a 6 basket bot. And then I let it close out those 6 orders. And then I took more money than I would have if I just let the bot close out an 8 basket order. at a take profit on all 8 orders. Once you close out that 8th order manually, the bot recalculates it based on 7 orders. So there are those kind of benefits to it. But in terms of like a minimum balance, it's kind of up to whatever you want to do. But as I've
Okay.
always said, the more you have, the less risk you're going to do, because the minimum lot size is 0.01, right? So
Okay.
0.01 on 10 grand balance is way less risk than 0.01 on 1,000 or 0.01 on 100. So those are conversations that I would have with people individually. But
Okay.
based on the cost of a custom bot, I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody unless you're going to be playing with 4 or 5 grand, just because you'll be able to get larger lot sizes and make larger values per day. I just don't think it would be worth the cost. You might end up breaking even every day and just having a ton of risk that is unnecessary at that point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, James. One last question. What about the US dollar and Canadian dollar? When is going to be ready?
I'm still working on that. I ran into some issues in the last couple days on it. I do have 2 different bots running on this right now. So I think I need another 30 days or so just to get it going. My history in the past is, like I'd get 2 weeks or 4 weeks going and then get people involved. I just want to make sure that I work through all these other kinks, and I'm doing this on like my real money right now. So I would risk my money in a real market before I'm going to let anybody else get involved, just because I just want to lower risk for people at the end of the day. So I'm just trying a bunch of things that, I think will work, and testing and doing that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping maybe in 30 days, maybe before, depends how things kind of play out over the next couple weeks. Things on the USD Canadian dollar, they've gone pretty wild. I've never seen it's gone 9 days or 10 days now with straight drop losses on it, which is something I didn't anticipate because I'd never seen that going back historically on it. But again, we're in unprecedented times, with this war and everything. So before I release that to people and throw that risk out there for anybody, I just want to make sure, I do my due diligence. Obviously, it's no guarantee. But if I feel that there's any unnecessary risk, then I just don't want people to get involved with it, because I'd rather lose my money before I let people lose money with me, because that's a shitty feeling for me when we all take losses. So hopefully soon, but I just don't know. It depends what the markets are going to do over the next week or two. For the last two weeks almost, this currency has been sidestepping on me, and I've been stuck in a basket that I'm just unable to get out of right now to move on to further testing. So I'm kind of just waiting for the markets at this point.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
So James,
I
the
have
reason we
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
so the reason we can't scalp out that, because when I'm looking in MT5, I can see the trades live, and I could go in there and right click and close that bottom basket order for a profit. But the reason I can't do that is because then the bot won't know that it's dealing with a 4 basket as opposed to a 5 basket. Is that right?
Absolutely correct. Yeah. So if the bot is in a 5 basket and you're in a 5 basket and you see that 5th basket in a profit and you take that profit, your personal account is at 4 basket now, but the bot is still in a 5 basket. Right? So the bot's not going to retake the 5th order because it's already got it. If you had a custom bot, then when you close out the order, that bot is then seeing it as a 4 basket. So in order to bottom scalp on signals, I would have to go in and close that 5th order, which would send the close signal to everybody following that bot, and then everybody would be in a 4 basket. But if you did it as following a signal, you would have 4 orders, but the bot would have 5.
So this
Right.
this new script, Brett, that makes perfect sense. So this new script you're working on, is that going to allow us to go in there and scalp out these baskets, or how does that? What are you working on with that?
Yeah, no, the new script won't allow you to scalp the bottom baskets. What the new script is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to attach that to your chart in your MT5, and you're going to be able to set a take profit. Now, you'll be able to look and say, okay, well, the bot's in a 5 basket order, and you're in a point where you say, I'm willing to take $100 loss or a 1% loss or whatever your loss is. You're like, I just want out. I don't care what the bot does. I'm going to, just get out. You can go in and you can stop the bot so that the bot won't send you any signals. You can set your take profit and you can take your small loss, or you can say, I want out when it gets break even, or I want out when it just makes me a little bit. I don't want to wait because sometimes you'll see the bot be like, oh, the bot went into slight profit, but it didn't close out. Well, it didn't quite hit the bot's take profit, right? You might want to get out before the bot gets out. So you'll have the ability to use that EA to close out all those orders in that buy direction. If you're in a sell basket, you can close out and you can take a small loss. Because sometimes when orders get 10 deep, some people are like, hey, if I can get to a $200 loss, fuck it, I'm out. I don't care about gains. I want out. Well, you'll be able to do that with this EA and go to sleep at night, know the EA will close out at that loss for you if the price gets to that level. Now, we can flip that around, and there could be situations where you say, okay, well, you know what? I think the price is just going to skyrocket and the bot's going to get out, and it could have made more money than it really did. And that happens a lot. So you might say, I'm going to turn my bot off and I'm going to take my profit at a higher level. And then your bot's off. And then when the price goes to there, that EA will close out all your orders for you. So you could take more profit, you could take less profit, you could break even, you could take a small loss. It'll give you that flexibility to do those things. It won't allow you to do the bottom basket, because if you close out one order and the bot still has that order, well, the bot will never retake it to send you that signal, right? So that's the difference between signal following and having your own master bot. So the EA just kind of allows you to know where your break even is, so that when you're in a deep basket, because everybody has different, comfort levels and risk tolerance, it's going to allow people to say, I want to get out of break even, or I want to let it ride and I want to stop the bot and make more money, or I want to take a small loss. Like, everybody's somewhere different. So this tool is just going to allow for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else for you guys?
James, I just read something on the Discord where you say those who want to compound can adjust their multipliers, the lot multipliers. What would
Yep.
you recommend start moving it towards? Example, I have a $8,000 AG bot with
Okay.
one lot multiplier.
Okay, so you have $7,000 in the 8G, and the 8G bot right now has about $8,000 in it as well, and started with 5.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Again, it depends on your risk tolerance. For me, I'm fairly comfortable at the risk of one lot multiplier for $5,000 balance. So I would kind of say, hey, if the bot reaches 10,000, I might jump that up to a 2.0 lot multiplier. And then that way I'm taking the same risk as a $5,000 bot at one lot multiplier.
Okay.
But I'm making double the cash.
Okay.
It's 10,000. So you're taking the same risk. And that's essentially compounding your balance. It's just the bot's not doing it automatically for you because of the lot multiplier. Now, the lot multiplier gives you the freedom, depending on what you're personally looking at in the markets and what you think things are going to happen. Some people might say, hey, things are going good right now, I'm going to increase my lot multiplier. And as soon as you realize, it's like, hey, if you go to Forex, I think it's Forex Factory or something.com, there's some sites that give you like when volatile news is going to come out, which the bots don't really look at those fundamental indicators. They look at the technical indicators. So if you feel like, hey, Wednesday, some bad news is going to come out. Well, shit, I'm going to lower my lot multiplier from 2 to 1. You have the freedom to just do that on your own. And there's obviously no cost to do that. Again, if you get caught, if you start a basket of trades at a 2.0 lot multiplier and say you're taking 0.06, 0.12, 0.18, and they're multiplying by 0.06, and then because you're at a 2.0 lot multiplier, if you lower that to 1, you're going to be taking 0.03 increment ups, which is going to mean that if the bot closes out, there could be negative impacts to you.
Okay.
At that point, right?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what hour of the trading day do I do it. Does it?
No, it wouldn't matter if you increase or decrease your lot multiplier. It doesn't matter. I would just recommend doing it when you don't have open lots, because if you have a buy order open at if you have a buy order at 0.03 and you want to increase it, that's probably not a bad thing, because you're probably going to make money if it goes into a basket because you've increased. Now, if you're at a 2.0 and you've gone 0.06 for a starting lot and then 0.12, and then you decrease it and then you get a 0.15 and the bot closes out for a win, well, your last basket is 0.15, not 0.18.
Okay.
You could take a loss because you don't have that extra 0.03 lot sizes of gains for whatever that pulled back.
Okay.
Right. So to just avoid those confusing calculations, I would recommend, if you're going to change your lot multiplier, just do it when there's no orders open, because it's very frequent that the bot's back to 100%, right? Just wait for it to get out of the basket and then change it, at that point.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And anything else for you guys here? I guess it's just me and you two, so the other guys didn't come back in after it cut off. No more questions?
Not for me, James. Thank you, man.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. I guess we'll call it, and we'll do another Zoom another time. And over the weekend here, I'll get these videos up so other people can see, and I'm sure people have questions, and we'll get some more answers out there, so we all get some more information at the end of the day.
Thank you, James. Have a nice night.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for joining. And again, if you have any questions, just send me a DM or tag me in the Discord, and I'll be happy to answer something for you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.